Hey guys, and welcome to the newly relaunched The Women Entrepreneur Success Show, technically episode 12, but with a whole entirely new format, and still brought to you by Women Who Wow, the premier coaching and mentoring platform for the seriously driven woman entrepreneur. Today, we have the amazing Shelley Smith on the show, and she may be the most inspiring and practical example that we serve up on this show ever. She's going to talk about what it took for her to be seen, acknowledged, and rewarded as a true thought leader in her space, the mindset shift that she made, the marketing shifts that she made, and the muscle it took to bring this goal to fruition. To know Shelley is to love Shelley. I'm a total fan. I know you're going to be too. If you consider yourself a seriously driven woman entrepreneur and you're done with this step-for-preneur systems, the follow the leader BS that often leaves you super busy, but often also broke, definitely message me to join Women Who Wow. We are the place women come to create success on their own terms. Before we bring Shelley on, I want to have a little micro moment together. These micro moments are designed with one thing in mind. It is just to challenge your thinking. Today, I want to talk about what you tolerate in business, also in life, because being intolerant is a great business strategy. I have made it part of who I am to be absolutely intolerant of many things, mediocrity of being chief among them. The same way I'm intolerant of sloth or intolerant of excuses. And in life, in fitness, in marriage, and other relationships, you often will get what you're willing to tolerate. The result, if you're super tolerant of any kind of conditions, whether it's living conditions or financial conditions or relationship conditions, the end result is a relationship or business or a body that is tolerable, literally tolerable, but not excellent. So for today, I want you to just consider what you've been willing to tolerate in your business. Maybe it's long sales cycles or being ignored by the media. Maybe you've been super tolerant when you're ignored by prospects and you never bring it up again, right? I always bring it up, by the way, when I'm ignored by someone. I always say like, hey, I accept your silent no, right? I always bring that up because rude, right? But maybe you've been tolerant of being ignored. Maybe you're tolerant of slow payments or whatever else you've been tolerant of. But do you see how the things that you have not really enjoyed, but you've been tolerating, do you see how these things keep showing up in your business or life or body or marriage or whatever? What if you raised the bar and became absolutely intolerant of these things? How might that change the way you show up, follow up, and level up, right? So I would love for you to message me either in the comments below or private message me m.me/womenwhowow. Let me know what you will now no longer tolerate in your business, because that is one of the fastest ways to up-level your income and your brand and everything else, as you become less tolerant of the things that are disrespectful or things that are just not in line with where you're going. All right, let me bring on our special guest, Shelley Smith. I'm gonna pull her up here and see how, sorry, I forget how I did it. Oh, here we are. Oh shoot, Shelley, I cannot add you. I'm not sure why. Are you on your phone? If you're not on your phone, if you're watching on your computer, tell me if you're on your phone, because you have to be on your phone, I think, for me to add you. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for Shelley to let me know if she's on the phone, I want to just introduce Shelley. So she is the founder and owner of Premier Rapport, which is a workplace culture business consulting firm. She is the culture curator. She's the go-to person in this space. Best-selling author, highly sought-after speaker, trainer. She's absolutely obsessed with workplace culture. Let me see if I can bring you back on. Let me see. I'm so sorry for this. Yep. I don't know. Allow your viewers. Okay. Shelley, will you request, I guess, to join? I'm going to try that option. Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, sorry about that delay. Hopefully we have Shelley joining us now. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about Shelley. So I just kind of gave you the introduction of her and her business, but Shelley is truly a powerhouse. She's an immediate doer. She's one of the fastest action takers I've ever known. She's so much fun. She has 3 kids and 1 husband. It's been a huge privilege to watch her grow into the national, actually now international brand that she has become. It says that you declined my invite. Sorry about this, guys. Approve. So I'm adding you again. Let me see if we can get Shelley on, because you guys are going to learn so much from her and you are going to love her like we all do. It says the guest declined the live video invitation. Not sure what is going on here. I keep approving you. Thank you. Lisa's sending us some love heart showers so that maybe we'll bring her on. I really apologize for this. It keeps saying that you decline it. I'm not sure what we should do. Shelley, give me some hints. Are you what are you seeing or what's happening there? It went off without a hitch yesterday. I'm wondering, Shelley, if you sign out and sign back in, maybe it'll something might work differently. I'm still trying to add you this time. It's saying you're declining it, but I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not sure what to do. All right, here we go again. We're going to try it again, and then we'll figure out something else to do. This is going to be a good interview if we can only get her on. So I'm not really sure. It's going to let me. I am afraid it's not. Thank you guys for staying with us. All right. We are going to have to, I guess, postpone this interview. I'm so sorry. Sometimes these things happen. We will figure it out and get back to you guys. But I appreciate you being here. This is an interview you're not going to want to miss. Watch your Facebook feed, because I'm going to see if we can get on the phone and maybe try this out and try it again and see. I'm not sure. I'm going to call her and see what she is what she's seeing, so maybe we can figure it out. All right, guys, thank you for being here. I really apologize. I'm embarrassed, but we'll get it working. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, it's Michelle. We are going to give this another try so that you guys can get to know the Shelley Smith of Premier Rapport that we all know and love. I've already given an intro in the other video, and we are going to let that stand for now. I have something on my screen that is I don't know, some sort of, all right, here we go. Something right here, like you see that right there, this little dot. But I was not going to worry with that. I have no idea how it came about, but we're going to try one more time to let Shelley request to join us. Shelley, will you type in "I am here" so that I can add you to the group? And I'm going to try to not let that bother me, that little white mark. All right, so we're going to add Shelley. If it does, Shelley Smith and I do have the fix for why she was not able to go live. So she's adding, and hopefully.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, there you are. Okay, perfect.
But it's in this weird, do I look like this? What is, okay, see this way. Okay,
No,
this is just weird.
Yes.
What does this do?
it's so funny because now we're looking at your screen. I I have this thing. You see this thing on my screen right there? That little like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what happened. It was something when I was trying to press go. It started like typing wherever my finger was. So I'm gonna ignore that because I'm like, we can't handle any other like challenges to this live stream. So
And I look like a special person here. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know what to tell y'all. I'm just so sorry that all of this has happened.
no,
And
you look great. It's totally you look
no, it's
normal.
completely distorted. Really? I look
Oh
very
yeah, it looks
distorted.
totally. No,
Okay.
it looks
All
totally
right.
normal to me. So you have to like look down so you don't do not distract yourself.
Okay.
So
I'm not going to look at me because it looks weird.
yeah, I am going to post a comment really fast to let people know that we are back and we're live and it's working.
And
So
we
that
figured out for future people what not to do.
absolutely, yeah, will you tell them what it is because
I will.
this makes a huge difference. You do that while I comment and let people know. Um,
Yeah. So, guys, I am so sorry. It was not Michelle. It was, Michelle always jokes and says that she's not IT literate. Well,
at
clearly I'm
all.
not either. The problem was that my phone was on lock, and it kept saying to turn horizontal, meaning, hey, lady, turn it on automatic rotate, because if not, you cannot accept. And so, doing well now. So, okay.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we had more people in our
Something.
failed live streams, but I'm gonna trust that they come back on. And your introduction will be like stitched into this. But I'm so excited to have you, as you know, on this show. And I was really excited that you are part of our first regularly scheduled interview series on the Women Entrepreneur Success Show. So yesterday we did one, and today is our first kickoff of the every Tuesday, 2 p.m. And I'm excited. I think it's fitting that we officially start with you. And
Thank you.
this is something that I feel like you and I are kind of a twin flame in certain ways, right? So you are obviously the founder and owner of Premier Rapport. You are the culture curator, but you're so much more. You're just a powerhouse, like a doer of the to the nth degree. It is so humbling because you are always such a fast action taker. And I'm excited to have you here officially.
Well, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, other than looking at this wonky person that I see in front of me on the digital. And again, I just apologize for so many technical things, but I'm so excited to be here today.
Good, good. Well, as I was saying, like, I feel like you and I are twin flames. Like, we get each other. I think, like, we're
We
doers
do.
at our core. And you and I are always like reaching for new levels of success and also freedom. Like, I feel like there's the way I call it is like contented discontent between you and I, right? Like, we're
Yeah.
always moving forward. It's not like we're ungrateful. It's not like we are like we're never satisfied. It's like a contented discontent. So
Yeah.
this is something that you are absolutely going after, is more, not just more success, but also more freedom. And you have just come such a long way in your business. So I would love for you to tell the people on the stream today who might be struggling in their business. They're overwhelmed, they're overworked, and many of them are like still underpaid. So I'd love for you to just like start out talking directly to them, because both of us have been there.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I was listening to Lisa yesterday, and some of those similarities again as well. So there was definitely a time that I've not put out there, but there was a time when we had to have assistance as well. And it's mortifying to go through that, but it's such gratification to come out on the other side and know that those things and processes are there as safety nets in order to help you. And that's from people resources, from government assistance, and through family and friends. And so, I always laugh and say I've sat in all the boats, and I never want to completely tell everybody every boat that I've sat in, but it's definitely who I am. The biggest thing is never give up, never doubt yourself. And one of the things that, Michelle, that you talk about all the time that I just want to echo is you have to put yourself around people who not necessarily just when I say get you, but people who will push you and people who will push through the BS. And the excuses, and you need to you must always be around people who are going to level you up and who are going to challenge you with what else and why not now and why not you, and to just not let you give up, especially when they see something in you. So if you are ever sitting in that point of doubt, trust me, I think no matter what level you get out, you're always going to have that thing that you're like, am I good enough? And you just got to get over yourself. Put your big
That's
girl
true.
panties on and just, like move on. It's like that moment of that little bitty violin, that pity party. Do it, get in it, call it for what it is, and then, get out of it. My mom always told me to pull my big girl panties up and move on. So, I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Michelle, but you know, um, strong women are hard to come by. But I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I used to think that until I came into Women Who Wow. Everybody in this membership, strong women.
It is
Um,
true.
I
And
just love
I
it
didn't
so
think
much. Yeah.
I didn't think I liked women, to be honest. Right? I didn't.
Yeah.
I just did not think that. I mean, I was that girl. I was like, ugh, I had mostly guy friends growing up, like, and so I have really, Women Who Wow has surprised me with, the twin flames that are out there, and also just my sincere love of these women, and the watching us hustle and pull each other up and encourage each other. It's just been so cool, like just from a personal standpoint, watching
Yeah.
that. And I was curious because I wanted to ask you about Lisa, who's actually watching live now. But so she talked about hitting six figures for the first time last month, actually. And I'm curious if
Good
you
job.
remember crossing that six-figure mark in your business.
You know what? When you were saying that, gosh, I wish I would have, tracked it. I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, me too. I can't tell you when it was. And that's just, that's kind of sad, I guess. I'm sure I was like super excited, but I don't think I realized it. I think I'd gotten over the hump and was looking at taxes and then was like, oh shit, this is great. And I was like, oh shit, I got to pay taxes.
Right.
Uh, so that moment, but I will tell you the 500,000, the 750, and now the 7-digit mark is totally different. That one's totally different. And I'll tell you that where I used to think seven figures, I can never make seven figures. Now I'm like, where's 8 figures?
Right.
Why not? So it's definitely, but they're all equally tremendous milestones. I just said to my husband last night, I said, I'm not going to meet my goal for this year, in full disclosure for everybody, was 1.2, and I'm not going to make 1.2. I don't think. Well, we'll see what the fourth quarter holds. There's still plenty of time. There's
That's
like
right.
10 weeks left, and but I told him, I said, this is where I'm at. And I was like, you know what? I guess that's pretty good. I would have never made that in the corporate world. And I wouldn't have had all this freedom. And I just started like listing all of the things. And I was like, life is good. The untapped potential is always the best way to go. But anyways, I don't remember, to answer your question, I
I
don't remember the six figure.
Yeah, I don't either, obviously. I think you and I are always like we were leaving wakes in our path back then, and still now, right? Like, we're just
Yeah.
hustling, and people have like the slow wake signs, and you and I ignore that completely, right? But
Yeah.
I just want to, for people who are watching this who may not be as familiar with you, you run a consultancy, right? Like, it's a consulting firm, and largely, not that you don't have support, but largely you're a solopreneur. And
It's
so when
me.
you hear her
Yeah.
talk about those numbers, that's important to me, because I could hear 1.2 million, I could hear 5 million, I could hear 10 million. And if they're running like a cookie factory, or they have 120 employees, like, I'm not interested, right? Like, keep it all. I have zero interest in that. You work from home. And so I just want people to hear that and understand, because the more people we surround ourselves with who create big numbers their own way, for me, I find that just super empowering. And I remember I used to do the opposite of what I'm doing on this call. I used to look for reasons why you could make it and I couldn't, why she could make it and I couldn't, right? And I used to look for those reasons like, oh, well, I don't want to have 10 employees, or I don't want this, you know, and now I'm like, I'm looking at it totally different. It's like, well, if one can, anyone can. And that's kind of how I
Yeah.
trained myself to look at that. And that's how I want everybody to listen to these interviews for Women Entrepreneur Success Show, because if, you know, we're doers, but there's nothing, you know, there's nothing special about me, certainly, right? I'm
Nothing special about
entirely
me.
average and in like every way. But I keep showing up. I tell people all the time, like my success largely is I just didn't go away. That's really the key, right? Like I just didn't go anywhere. And so eventually
Yeah.
people started paying attention. But yeah, so you're way past the six-figure mark. And but really now I think our goals, both of us, are more about how we make the money that we make, right? Like you and I are
It
both
is.
nearly empty nesters. We want freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely that. And also, I also want to go back. I used to always get caught up. Well, when in a normal networking, at a corporate setting, chamber setting, people always, who are you? What do you do? Who do you work for? How many employees? And I used to get caught up in that, how many employees too. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how many employees, how much profit you making?
That's right.
Where's the money? And so, when people say, I've got 10 employees and I'm at 2 million, and then they tell me that they're, maybe at 125,000, I'm like, you're working the wrong way. I,
Right.
definitely work smarter, not harder. But yes, to answer your point, it's still about making more money from a profitability standpoint in very focused time. So I would rather have fewer clients that use me on the frequent, and where I can manage that time, that workload, that focus, and be able to do more, travel or whatever it is. As the kids start to move out of the house, I want to be able to go to wherever they are. Now, they don't necessarily want me to come to where they are, but I want to be able to go to, wherever they are. And now that I do, international work too, so if I'm in Ireland, if I'm in London, if I'm in Paris, I want to be able to like hang out, do
Yes.
my work, do my groove, but like stay and hang out.
Yes.
I don't want to this rush in and out, and to say you were there and you never got to do anything is no different than working in your own house for the day. And I want to be able to enjoy that now. Priorities are definitely different, and I want the kids to see that they can do that too.
Yes, I love.
So
I think that's been one of the most surprising things is watching how my kids think about work, right? And like some
yeah,
of it's a little scary, you know. Like CJ's already, and he's a worker. Like he was opening Sonic here in Moyoc at 5:30 this morning before school. Like he's a worker, you know. Like
mercy.
I have no challenges with my kids working, but in the future, he's saying things like, I don't want to do anything that feels like work. You know, he wants to be
Yeah.
able to do so, and so they see things and they're influenced differently. I want to know about the big shifts that your business has seen over the past like couple of years. Like, what are the biggest shifts that you've seen that people could, you know, take notice of and maybe implement in their own business?
Yeah, I will tell you that I think when I first met you, which is now I think 3 years ago, I believe I was around the 253-ish mark. So I do want people to know that I've grown leaps and bounds really since I've known you. You helped me really, fine tune my craft. And one thing that you say all the time, and you challenge people, and you challenged the group that was there, everybody had to commit to something. And it was the daily posting. And I think I've told you this before. I thought you'd lost your freaking mind about daily posting. But when you think about it, you always have something to say. Why not? Why not say it? So at any rate, I took you up on that challenge, and I have every since, other than Saturdays and Sundays, I randomly will post. But Monday through Friday for, gosh, I guess 3 years now, or whenever we initially had met, I post every day, and I post on all of the platforms. Now, I'm not as good and savvy as you, giving some differences. So I am one of those people who you talk about don't post the same thing, but I do. But that daily post was a shift, I think more so for me,
Yeah.
in honing my craft and building my confidence and getting me to completely zone in on what it is I do know, love, share. as well as honing it into the people that are finding me. So turning into a thought leader. So I would say the shift number one was when I first met you. I mean, I thought I had my business together, but yeah, no, I didn't. So you really helped me fine tune who I am and into that obsession on the workplace culture. Number one. Number two was the daily showing up, and then just honing the different types I've always liked to do video more than writing, even though I've got 6 books, but I like to do the video more than writing. So that's really been it, is calling out it every day, having a call to action every day, mesh with me, look it up, here's something to sell, realizing that I'm selling every day. Those to me have been the big things that have to be consistent. I'm not a journaler. I've told you that in the past. However, I do occasionally journal, but I always think through the responses that you throw out there. And I don't watch you every day and I don't consume all of your information every day, but I do go back. So I'm in the car a lot and I will go back and I will I've got one of those automatic readers. So it will read whatever it is you've said. And of course I watch the
Oh,
videos.
cool.
So it definitely, I have to have those type of things in my routine. The morning routine is key as well. So those are
Yeah.
some of the things that were big.
So awesome. Thank you for that. And in terms of me being crazy or losing my mind, I think that's a common, like, I think people would think maybe, maybe she's smart or maybe she's crazy, right? Like, but, we'll maybe give it a try. In fact, that's why I always, when I had private clients, I made people pay for 3 months up front, because around 6 weeks in, they're going to think, I think this woman finally lost it. I think she's like, we thought she was smart at first, but she's
Now we're wondering.
crazy. Yeah. So, so I think it's a common one. One of the things that that you and I did together, and I encourage everybody all the time, and I've never actually put words to it until this moment, but I want you to bring more of you, right? I want to bring more of you to the business. And
Yeah.
otherwise, I feel like it's like business is not easy. It can be simple, right? But it's not easy. And it's like climbing uphill can be simple, but not easy. And you don't want to climb uphill with like a huge extra backpack, right? You want to make sure that you are climbing up, limber and loose. And when you infuse more of yourself in the business, then it just becomes, your yoke becomes easier, right? Like the burden becomes lighter because you're not having so many shoulds on you. It's just like, you know what? I'm enough. I'm just going to show up. I am the marketing. I am the message. I am enough. And I can just go to my market and talk to them. And for anybody considering the daily challenge that she took, it's just messaging to your market daily. And people do think it's crazy. People who do it are forever changed after that, right? Like their relationship with the market is forever changed. And when you feel like you can't, I feel like it's because we've overburdened the message, right? Like anybody that you want a real relationship with, you would talk to, you wouldn't have a, problem talking to every day or texting every day or, calling.
Yeah.
And so whatever, if you don't write, that's fine. Do video. If you don't do video, you can do audio, whatever it is. But daily messaging is really just showing up for your market. And I think for you, Shelley, one of the biggest, coolest things is your hurdle was becoming the thought leader in your space, right? Like just kind of, and you said, claiming it, owning it, right? And then, carrying it out. And thought leaders show up often and expose their thoughts, right? Like they actually show up as if people are listening. And so, you have totally become a thought leader. Obviously, you said you have 6 books, you have your own magazine, a podcast, a column with Forbes. So like you're there, you're there. I know you're always pursuing more and higher and deeper levels of thought leadership. That's who you are. But one of the things when you said I claimed it, so like I'd love to know more about claiming it, owning it, and then the muscle to carry it out. Like when you felt like, it wasn't working, or if you felt like, or did you feel like there was a point where it wasn't working, or what gave you an idea to keep it going?
Yeah. So one quick thing, I think it's actually crazy for people not to message every day now. So where I thought you had lost your mind to do it, now I'm like, what? Once a week, once a month? What?
Right.
Don't you, so it's
right.
interesting.
Why show up at all?
Yeah, like what's the, the mind shift. So claiming it and owning it and all those things you just threw at is that I realized that through my life I had been doing these things but didn't call it that. So when I went back to creating my method of how do I do what I do, I mean, I'm not trying to sound, for people who really know me, I am extremely humble and I'm not a cocky person, but I'm very confident in what it is that I do. And when I realized why I was different and mapped that out, I'm a doodler, map that out. I love acronyms. And I realized that my way was really different. I was like, oh, I totally know what I'm doing. So any doubt that I had was, how am I different from all the other competitors that are out there? I started listing all of the ways that I was different. I literally went back in time and an actual list. It's in one of the few times that I did journal, it's in one of my books of all the things that I do differently. And when I say different, different from what you see from people who are on big stages
Yeah.
making a boatload of money, who have not been in the business for a while,
Yeah.
have not sat in the boat maybe ever, but they have these massive degrees. Um, I love reading a lot of books, but when I read the book, I literally am going through going, I agree with that, you missed this. I agree with that, but you need to add this. I totally don't agree with that because of, and then I would put, it wasn't an opinion, but I would put a stat to it. Or I would go back and go, I talked to some of my clients that were really in my space and say, I read the other day, blah, 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 in an HBR article or in a Gallup survey. And I've never found that to be true. What are your thoughts? So I would always find a way to sort of dive into that and dissect it in another way, because what happens is, and Michelle, you talk about this all the time, people end up following what they think to be the masses, and the masses are the people who are in the spotlight, and usually everybody's just following them. And I've never been a follower. I've always been the opposite and gotten in trouble. I always thought I was weird, that how come I don't think like everybody else? And so for me, the claiming it came when I wrote it down. I saw it, I believed it, I had the stats to back it up. I had literally lived those things I was recommending to people and had come out on the other side. I went out on the shore in a boat and I made it back. And I I believe it. I believe it. I claim it, and I hold that stake. And anytime I give what's perceived as an opinion, I back it up with a stat. I back it up
I
with
love
I did this.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important for us to, challenge what is status quo, right? In anything important, business, marriage, health, anything. It's like, I firmly believe most people get it wrong, right? Like, most people just get it wrong. And I'll never forget one time I was in sixth grade, I'll never forget it. And I said something about a girl being popular. I don't remember who the girl was, but I remember saying something to my mom about she's really popular. My mom said, "Who says?" And I said, "Who says what?" She says, "Well, who says who's popular?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I never even thought of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I remember in that moment, I was forever changed. I'm like, I need to start challenging more stuff. I need to start thinking about more stuff. And so for me, it's like, I saw the same thing. It's like people who, and now all of a sudden the name has become, you know, um, polarizing. But back in the day when Ivanka Trump wrote her business book, no disrespect to her, but I'm like, it's about a startup. And I was thinking, like, her startup looks a little different than mine, right? Like, it's, the thought she has at night laying in bed about whether or not her business is going to work were slightly different, I'm going to guess, right? It's like, I was talking to somebody today. I was watching Eddie Murphy Raw last night, and he's like, look, man, the ends are meat, right? Like, her ends were meat. She didn't have to worry about certain things that we have to worry about. But it's funny because a lot of people who have never been in the trenches the way entrepreneurs are, or even like they're writing books about things that they have degrees in, but they've never been in the trenches and had to apply their theories to real people and real systems. And so I think it behooves us to challenge it, but also to point out, and I love the way you did that with your clients, like, hey, I read this in HBR, but I'm wondering what it, haven't found it to be true. What are your thoughts? And it allows them to start challenging what they've been accepting. I will
Yeah.
never forget a company my dad worked for before he had his own company. And they brought in these consultants and they did an untested thing that took away middle management. And it was a nightmare. And it was a complete and total nightmare, but no one challenged it. And I remember I was 19 and I was an intern. And I remember saying, like, has any other company done this? Like, should we talk to them? Right? Because it seemed outlandish to me, but it was
Yeah.
cool and hip, and they went forward with it. But I think people challenge common knowledge too infrequently, I think.
Or they get part of it and say they get it, got it, go. I can go figure it out. And they think they can implement what's inside of a book or what they just saw on stage. And the inventor is the person you really need to go to in these
That's
times. They will tell you lessons learned and blind spots and don't forget about this and that. So, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I would love to get just final words from you, final words of advice for other women entrepreneurs, and also letting people know where to find you, where they can get in touch with you directly.
So the final comments would be definitely look at who's at your table, right? Making sure that that you don't perceive yourself at the top person at the table. If
Right.
not, you need to mentor that table and then go find, another table. So definitely who's your circle, who is really being transparent with you and saying when you're on point, but more so when you're off point. And that could be, in all different kinds of directions. Definitely have a mentor, Michelle. Of course, I'm going to recommend Michelle. You need somebody who, again, is going to push you in a different way that even those at your table will not push you. I think that's probably the biggest piece because you really are a person of who you're with is how you're going to show up on the daily. Definitely post daily. You've always got something to say. And again, it can be, I started off by just doing actually so there's almost 400, I guess, posts inside of a PowerPoint where I just started with just the image and the quote, and then I would do a little thing. And I started with that, and then I added and rotated in with other messages and blogs and videos and all that sorts of things. So definitely message daily, I think, are the two really big key things. And I always say, ask yourself, what's next? Every time I do something, I'm like, what else? What's next? What else? What's next? And, just keep going for those big, supposedly audacious goals, because the more you normalize it, and I don't know if I heard this from you, Michelle, lately. I heard it from somebody, and I was like, it's so true. The more you normalize it, that you just expect it, it's amazing how much it just happens, because you're just like, well, of course I expected that.
Yes, it's huge. I don't know how, this is one of those things that I wish I had gotten way earlier in the game, right? Like you get what you expect largely, right? And what
Yeah.
you view as normal. And for me, it's like I have to work on that, like normalizing larger monthly incomes, because if it feels extraordinary, then it's going to be hard to keep, right? Like if it feels extraordinary, if it feels like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that. It's not that you don't want to be grateful, but you just want to like normalize new levels and also raise your expectation and lower your tolerance, right? I know you and I are pretty intolerant people. It's a huge thing for me, and I think it serves us well, right? It doesn't make us, like I said on an interview I did recently, like I'm not winning any Miss Congeniality awards, I'm sure, but I'm intolerant of sloth and laziness and mediocrity and all of these things, and it served me well. And I love what you said about always asking what's next, what is next, right? That's a huge part of it. And I remember having an event in Dallas, and we did some cool stuff. We did like a fire walk, and but the boards of the fire, we actually wrote like limiting beliefs on, and then we we karate chopped through the piece of wood. And I remember getting so nervous because it was my event, and like, what if I didn't break through the wood, right? Like I knew I could walk on fire because my feet are like country girl feet, right? Like I can walk through shards of glass. Like I was not at all concerned about walking on fire. But chopping through that board. And you know me, I'm thinking, well, hell or high water, I'll break my damn hand, but I'm going to get through the wood, right? And but I didn't have to break my hand. And the instructor said, you know, you aim through the goal, you aim through the piece of wood. And that is something that is, you know, I think works for all goals, right? Like you
Yeah.
aim through it. You are always looking at what's next. The same as like, you know, you're almost like you see your first goal is within reach, and you just look what's beyond that. And I
Yeah.
will say, and I put this out there with extreme
Oh, you're frozen.
humility.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I put this out there with extreme caution and humility, and you will know why. But like with weight loss and fitness, I have learned that I'm a horrible maintainer in every way. In every way, it doesn't, like, I hate like just running at the same pace. I like to do intermittent running, interval training. I do better with intermittent fasting. Like that's just who I am. And so with fitness, even it's like maintaining is difficult for me. It's when I hit a weight loss goal or a size goal or whatever, I'm like, you know what, I can never say I'm just going to maintain this. I always have to say what's next. Maybe it's like I'm going to work on my arms, or I'm going to try to get shoulders, or I'm going to try to lift my butt, you know, like whatever it is. Like I have to have something else that I'm pursuing. And I don't think that's necessarily everyone, but I feel like all of us can really grab hold of what you said. What's next? What's next? And, you know, and allow it to just kind of pull us forward by desire.
And you know, the why not you sort of thing. I definitely put limitations on myself because I allowed people to put limitations on myself because I don't have a college degree, and you know how much this weighs on me. So to put that out there and to own that and to now be proud of it,
Yeah.
just don't let people label you. Don't let people label you. If you're wearing labels, it's because you allowed it. You allowed them to put them right on you, and you're like owning it. Don't, you know,
Yeah.
don't own that.
And they
And you know
might
that
not
we could let
even,
go on.
yeah, they might not even, you know, have put them on you. Like, you know, I always say that college degrees, and, you know, obviously, like you and I are paying for a ton of them right now, right? But, you know, college degrees, I feel like are much more important to the people who don't have them than the people who do. They think about them a lot more, like, than, you know, I have a degree that's on the wall, and don't use it, but you know, I met my husband there, so that's worthy. But yeah, so I love it. And you know, I love the fact that you didn't go to college, and yet you literally paid big money to set up universities.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody else, and like,
And I work with a lot of MBA folks. They're
that's
quick to
right.
tell me
Oh,
that they have an MBA, and I'm like, oh, how's that working out for you?
right.
Not that I'm going to tell my daughter that.
Hey, now go get my coffee. I'm joking. I'm totally joking, but it is true, right? It's like I love the college professors teaching like entrepreneurship, right? And I'm like, oh well, you know, do you have any businesses? And I'm like, no, you know, or the guy teaching leading the entrepreneurial college where my daughter goes, and I said, well, how many of your entrepreneur professors have, you know, have businesses of their own? He's like, oh, almost all of us. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, what are your businesses? And he's like, he's like, I'm trying to get people to bring their own styrofoam to restaurants and, you know, whatever. I'm like, that's an idea. It's not a business. Then he has this
Yeah.
idea for like a self-propelled, like, wakeboarding thing. And he has an idea for this game. And I'm like, you know, all of them are pre-revenue. None of them have been to market. And he's
Mm,
teaching being an entrepreneur. So I think that
yeah.
it's important to you know,
Got to have that applicability. Yeah, my daughter was just all excited about one of her professors this year in marketing, and he has been there, done it, and still doing it. And I was, you know, in conversation with her, and I was like, you see the difference of having somebody who's living and breathing up there teaching you than not? And she's like, oh yeah, the other ones are just straight textbook stuff that I'm never going to use again. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
yes.
So true. And then people can get a hold of me. I literally am on every platform. I'm most commonly found Monday through Friday on LinkedIn, Facebook, both personal and private or professional pages, and then also on Twitter. Those are my main. But I have a lot on YouTube as well. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got one podcast that's been out there for a while, and then I've got another one. And of course, everything is hashtag Culture Matters. So if you know how to sort through hashtags, the Culture Matters would be me. That would be me.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelley. I
Thank
just
you.
appreciate you being here. I'm loving our new format for Women Entrepreneur Success Show. I think this is going to go down as one of our most favorite shows, despite our
Yeah, because it took 3 times to get on.
Right. They only know about 2. So the others I didn't post. But anyway,
Okay,
you guys, I appreciate you being here. If you are not a member of Women Who Wow, definitely message me about joining m.me/Women Who Wow. And you guys go check out Shelley and connect with her. And I'll see you next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. when we have another edition of the Women Entrepreneur Success Show. Talk with you later. Bye.
Peace out, people. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.